Hello, 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 dear starshines. Welcome to another edition of the Lunchtime Chats. But we could call them Lighttime Chats. Anyway, go ahead, say hello. Let me know you're here. I'm going to take a moment and welcome all those who are new, whether you're here watching the live recording or doing the after recording. Welcome, welcome. My name is Christina, and I'm an acceleration expert. That is a consciousness acceleration expert. And we are here to talk about those topics and issues that are significant for us starseeds, way showers, new paradigm visionaries. You see, we have capacities, we have inclinations, we have curiosities that are not necessarily embraced by our larger human family. And therefore, these issues very rarely get addressed on the level that we're experiencing them. So I am here to give, to the best of my ability, a liberated perspective to these topics and issues that we face on a daily basis during this wonderful, beautiful, chaotic time of change on this planet. So welcome, 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 everybody. Hello, dear sister Tony. Good to see you. Hi, Carol. Good to see you. So there are a few things to talk about. It's been a while since I've talked about some stuff in this realm, but I'm going to dive into it because I was sent a request by dear Starshine, and what I'm talking about is I'm going to go into the topic of empire. Now, I talk about empire. Well, I've talked about it a lot in the past, and I've kind of taken a break from it and really haven't talked that much about it in the chats recently. But it's time to come full circle with that and talk about it again, because I had a request to talk about the quantum financial system and the Gesara Nesara Act. And so I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to go into it much more deeply. And I also want to make note of the very interesting synchronicity of getting this request, because I'd say in the spring equinox, all right, we just had, not long after the spring equinox, I was sent this exact same question citing the exact same person. And I find that synchronistic in many, many ways. Synchronicities, that's the universe speaking to us. Okay. That's our spirit speaking to us, and our synchronicities show us where our yeses are and show us where our nos are. But bottom line, synchronicities are always reflecting some deep level of truth, whether we realize it or not. Okay. So the fact that I was getting this request in the way that I was getting it in the sites that were repeating, that is not at all lost on me, darling. I know, I understand. And there's more to it than what the surface level understanding is. So I'm going to go deeper into that request because it's time to talk more about empire. Then I also want to talk about the pursuit of happiness. That is a highly charged thought form. And it's one that's in our Declaration of Independence. And it's also in our Constitution, that every person has inalienable rights, as in you're born with the right to be human, to be free, and to pursue happiness. Okay. This is a really big deal because there's no other country that I know of, maybe there is and I don't know about it, but there's no other country that grants beings rights simply for being born. Okay, simply for being born on these lands and being a citizen. So this is important, especially when we come in frame up with the Gesara Nesara Act. Okay. So go, you guys, like I said, go ahead, tell me hi, let me know you're here. Where to begin? All right, let's first talk about pursuit of happiness. Okay. In the past chats, in the past 4 weeks, there's been some themes, And one of the things that I've been talking about are unnatural rhythms. There's natural rhythms, and then there are constructed rhythms, synthetic rhythms. And I'm going to refer back to that idea in this tone of pursuit of happiness, because when we are inundated with synthetic rhythms, constructed ways of keeping time, constructed ways of keeping one's role in society. So we have societal constructs, we have familial constructs, we have time constructs. We have all these different constructs that create an inorganic rhythm. And when we are living in a rhythm that is out of step with the natural flow of life, that anchors in a deep sense of confusion, and it makes us ripe and easy to build masks, to build false constructs of the ego driver. Okay. And this is why so many people, as we grow in our spirit, as we grow into ourselves, many of us don't wake up to the fact that we've been living a life that truly doesn't make us happy until, we reach a certain age, usually over the age of 50. This is when we realize, wow, everything that I've prioritized and worked so hard for in my life is actually not truly satisfying me. Okay. And there's a reason why this happens. We look into ancient Eastern cultures. The time after the age of 50 is the time where something clicks inside of our very being, and we can no longer entertain things that aren't true. Our bullshit meter, like our tolerance for BS plummets, right? And then we also start to realize there's a lot of programs we've been living that aren't the truth. And a wonderful example of this is a lot of these real estate moguls that, their life is all about money and power and all this stuff. And they get there, they get the house, they get the trophy wife, they get this, they get that, and they're still not happy. And it's because what they thought was the pursuit of happiness was actually the pursuit of validating their mask, the lie of who they thought they were. And then once you get there and you still feel hollow inside, there's not a smile inside, then that's when you've spent all that time and energy and resources pursuing something that actually wasn't the truth. It was a false idea of happiness. It wasn't true happiness. And this is really the journey that I've been on, especially, and it's all coming full circle. That's why I'm talking about it, because this is really up for me, because it's all coming full circle. I'm here in Rapid City, South Dakota, taking care of some matrix business. And this is also where my life partner at the time and I began our journey as full-time nomads. And here it is, a couple years later, we're in a completely different situation. Everything is different. So much has changed. And when we embarked in our journey, the idea was to find happiness. What makes us happy? What makes me happy? What makes them happy? And I realized that, I had a lot going for me because I've been practicing what the truth is inside for quite some time. And in a lot of ways, it made me a very flexible, compassionate person compared to how I was way back in the beginning of this relationship. So I had a lot more flexibility, and what was happening is that my flexibility was creating a crutch for my partner to not, to rely on me for happiness, but at the same time, not truly being happy. It's like thinking this would make me happy, then getting it and realizing, oh no, I'm still not happy. So, it was for my dear partner, it was, a journey for him to figure out what is the truth inside, what is actually what he wants, we've been together for many years. So this was the first time, because of COVID, which was a huge blessing, he was able to get to this place of actually slowing down and taking stock. What actually is happiness? Do I really want happiness? You know, all this stuff. So we started that adventure back in 2021, right here in the city. And here I am again, full circle, full circle. Yeah, and I'm really surprised that it's hitting me in the way that it is. And that's why this whole getting this message about the quantum financial system is also very, very poignant, because the person that sent me that information in the beginning was somebody that I used to know, or I should say somebody I thought I used to know. Okay. So there are a lot of things energetically happening around the equinoxes. And this does relate to our truth and knowing what's going on, but we have to understand that there are cycles that are natural and there are cycles that are synthetic. And equinoxes and solstices are really powerful times to renew our investment into cycles. So during the equinox, it's a time to, whatever your issues are that are in the way of, or that you feel that are in the way of you having happiness or knowing who you really are or anything like this, you know, it's going to be really up for you in these equinox cycles, because in the 2 weeks around the equinox, this is an opportunity to re-up into the cycle. And if it's a cycle that is in alignment with your truth, you're doubling down, so to speak, in the pursuit of happiness. And if you're re-upping into a cycle that actually is just validating the mask, validating who you think you are versus the actual truth of what's happening inside your heart, inside your spirit, then you're doubling down on continuing the false cycle, the false rhythm. Okay, we can call it the inorganic rhythm even. So in the equinoxes, it's a really potent time for shenanigans to take place. And the shenanigans really showed its head hard and fast in our community at Lightbody. It was kind of like the pain that was left from any unresolved stuff that is, you know, in these, you know, in the primary disempowerment cycles was up big time. And each of us have very different lenses and views to what this cycle or what this flavor is of this disempowerment. Okay. And so for one dear starshine, it's, you know, financial stuff, taxes, it's matrix, financial stuff in the relationship to the matrix, right? And then the stress of what that is. And for another starshine, it's, you know, a whole nother level of rejection, or a whole nother level of not being able to accept what is. And then we had another dear starshine that was just super stressed and feeling like she's, you know, done so much in her life, but still hasn't done what she's actually wanted to do in her life, you know? So it's like these emotions and feelings that we're having around actually it was right on the equinox. We get together in groups and visit these things and track into it. We were all feeling it. It was so strong, really super strong. And I just needed to remind everybody, it's like, yeah, I'm in this too. I have mine that's up too. It's really intense and very, very emotional. But at the same time, rather than going into those loops of, oh, I'm here again, I'm feeling stuck, it's understanding that it's most intense right before the breakthrough happens. It climaxes. You think you're going to break, you can't take it anymore. And then the breakthrough happens. And then a realization, a perspective that you never had before all of a sudden is there. Okay. So when we got together and we're tracking into this and unwinding these things for each other, it did, you know, things were able to move and we had a totally different perspective. And one of the dear starshines, especially with the financial matrix game, she got a message. She got a message from her, I think it was her bookkeeper, accountant, or whatever, and they realized that the whole thing was a mistake, and that the giant tax bill wasn't what they thought it was, and the giant this bill wasn't what they thought it was. And it's like they, you know, were not about to have this massive, you know, tons of cinder blocks put financial tons of cinder blocks put on their shoulders. And it was a major breakthrough. It's like, wow, this is amazing. And at the same time, she also, you know, during her process, she talked to her family, her mom, and she found out that her parents had the exact same dynamic unfold in their life. Okay. The difference is, dear sister Starshine in our community has been unwinding these energies and doing her ancestral work. So the threat of going through it again was there, right? But the actual construct in the reality for it to be so wasn't there. You see what I mean? So she still processed the thoughts, feelings, emotions as if it was happening, but the actual nesting dolls of reality were not in alignment for that to be the truth. You see what I mean? So this is another level of why it's so important to do your ancestral work, because you really look at your parents. You can look just at your parents. What have they suffered through that hasn't been fully resolved? Okay, what have they gone through where there was anger and frustration and bitterness, all that stuff, you know, where that still existed. You know, I was so fortunate, you know, in a lot of ways to be with my mom when she was in her dying process. And that's because she got to recapitulate. She got to tell me all the things that she took in as lies that were not, they were not. And she was waking up to the realizing this is just society saying this is this and that's that. None of it's true. You know, so she like took a lot of time to make sure to pass on the massive insights and breakthroughs that she had on a personal level about life, about society, about these false rhythms. So, to pass that on to us. So she did a lot of inner work before she actually passed, which we benefited, my sister and I, we benefited greatly from that work that she did. She didn't even know that she was doing it. She just was following her truth. Her truth got her there. Her truth got her to what she really wanted to put forward in the world. Her intention of being a good parent. Her intention of wanting her kids to be free. And this is really important because our children, my children, your children, are also in the same current. So whatever bitternesses, whatever pains, whatever things you hold on to and feel justified doing that, they pay the price. They pay the price for what you're not willing to allow to come full circle. Okay. So this is a we game, and the pursuit of happiness, you pursuing your truth, living your authentic truth and finding happiness that is actually in alignment with that in your spirit, you're going to have very little regret in this life. And not only that, you get to pass this on to your children, and your children get to be free as well. Okay. They're no longer driven on that subconscious level by your unresolved issues. Okay. So me personally, my highest value is freedom, love, community, service to the whole, because that makes me happy. That's my authentic truth. Now, it took me a long time to understand that and get here through this personal work. But if it wasn't for the ancestors, if it wasn't for the indigenous elders that have been working with me in my dream time all these years, if it wasn't for this huge community of beings in the ancestral realm, the elders, I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing. So their vision, I'm talking about the elders now, their vision wasn't just about being happy. Their vision was about stepping outside of time. It was about a stepping outside of these false rhythms and start reclaiming our sovereignty and our ability to dream this world into being, as in retake command of this realm again and quit deferring our authority and our responsibility off to these other synthetic systems. These systems are meant to keep us in a heavy state, keep us feeding these masks, keep us feeding these false constructs. So control is not ours, it goes to these constructs. Okay. And these constructs are in nesting dolls. So this is where I start getting into empire. Right. Sorry. I have a couple comments before I start shifting gears into that. I'm going to read a few things that we have here. All right. Luna Rio. Hello, darling. She says, I'm also a nomad and I started out by looking for the perfect place to live. Me too. Me too. I'm still on that pursuit. I'm right now finding contentment in Mexico, but I think there's more. There's more. I feel like that's a place for me to heal and rejuvenate and come back to self in a very different way. So just to expound on this thought that, we go to the places that are frequency matched to us. And when we are healing and we're recovering from, a lot of these crazy abuses that happen within the human collective, family, partners, whatever, it takes time for us to heal and come back to ourselves in such a way where that frequency match of the forever home, let's say it like that, to even be there. So I realize now that I'm nomading continuously because I'm still resetting my frequency to all, to be integrated with all these upgrades that have happened. I talked about upgrades a couple weeks ago about, you really need to have the lifestyle, the habits to integrate and maintain these frequencies so they are, really in as part of who you are. And then the frequency match of the planet, will call you. Well, I feel that will call me to where I need to be. I'm getting foreshadowings though. And this is what's really interesting, the foreshadowings. It's like I had the idea, then I felt like, oh, it feels good, but it doesn't feel good. And really it didn't feel good because it wasn't the right time. The timing wasn't right. But I was asking and the universe was answering me. It's just, I wasn't clear about the timing piece and my frequency and the healing, so this is also that thing about you get exactly what you ask for, but sometimes we're not in an aligned perspective to truly understand the depth of the answer that we're being given. It's a real thing. All right, dear sister Lunaria says, then I realized it's not about finding the perfect place to call home, but about finding the perfect person to call home. Oh, that's interesting. I have finally found a person I love enough to call home. That person is me. Mwah. Bless you, darling. Bless you. Thank you so much for saying that. Really, that's the truth. That is the truth right there. And that requires truth, honesty, vulnerability, like really getting down to it. Surrendering into yourself, into your spirit. Because who we really are and who we think we are vastly different creatures, really. All right, dear sister Carol says, I just turned 50. Woohoo! What a great topic. Awesome. Thank you, Tony. Much love to you, darling. Luna Rio comes back to say, me too. I'm also finding contentment in Mexico and healing. Oh, cool. Let me know where you are in Mexico. Maybe we can cross paths in person. That would be fun. I'm on the Caribbean coast. Well, I mean, right now I'm in Rapid City, but my place is on the Caribbean coast in Tulum for now. All right, so let's get into this nesting doll, Nesara, Gesara, empire. I first have to talk about empire before I get into the quantum financial system. So Empire. I'm going to put out a few names here. So if you guys want to dive more deeply into the research around this, I can connect you with some sources. Okay. Now, one of the books I'm going to recommend, I actually have never read. I know him, and this is a book written by George Kavassilas. I always had a certain resonance with him, and then I met him, and then I got to know him back in 2019 in person, and I can say, because I was also in his community, that I'm in very close resonance with what he's talking about as far as his perception of empire. I would say not 100%. Oh my gosh, I want to go to Mexico City. That's been on my mind, darling. Email us, dear Luna Rio. Please email us. I would love to hook up with you because I've been thinking about Mexico City's been burning on my brain lately, and I've been trying to decide where to start in exploring that area. Our email is wecare@lightbodyacademy.com. wecare@lightbodyacademy.com. If you have recommendations, great. And if you want to hook up, even better, that would be super fun. So please reach out and contact us. That would be wonderful. And then you're also welcome to come out to the Caribbean coast. I have an extra bedroom if you want to visit the beach. Okay. So sorry, I completely got off track there. All right, go back to George Kavassilas. He has a series of books, but I believe his most recent one is We Walking Ourselves Home, something like this. And he is able to break this down into what empire is. Another reference you can look at is there is this really great sci-fi movie that came out, in the maybe mid 2000s, called Jupiter Ascending. And this movie was a huge reveal. It was put out by the Wachowski brothers, the same ones that did The Matrix. And it was a huge reveal to the idea of what empire is all about. So it's an interdimensional construct that is all based off of the looshing of energy. And there's good energy, there's like energy, there's some looshing energy that is absolutely primo. And then there is also the bottom of the barrel. The bottom of the barrel is kind of like what the parasites feed off of. It's your anger, your rage, your, fear. It's, that kind of stuff that happens. Your biosuit produces this, with adrenaline and cortisol and all that stuff. Okay. And the creme de la creme is the cerebral spinal fluid in the moment of orgasm, or spiritual ecstatic bliss. That's the creme de la creme, that juice. And there are beings that are the higher rulers, echelons of that society, of that interdimensional empire, that live for thousands, are pretty much immortal because they live off of this creme de la creme juice. Okay. They have many planets, many star systems, it's a massive domain, and think it's an interdimensional domain. So the whole system operates by keeping the stock, so to speak, in a particular bandwidth of consciousness. So the life force energy from a bat is different than that of a cow, which is different than that of a child, which is different than that from an adult. Okay, so there are lots and lots of life beings that are part of that stock that I'm talking about. And there's also interdimensional stock. And all of this is kept in line by keeping our consciousness within a particular spectrum. And That is the interdimensional empire. It's system within system within system. What we are experiencing here, this control system, especially with the coming technocracy that's setting in, this is just another layer of empire that is already in place. It's already in place. It's been happening for millions of years, millions and millions and millions of years. So the galactic wars, the all these conflicts that we talk about, the biggest story, the most important story that is still in our subconscious, because this is actually, Earth was originally in her in another form. She was part of a reality that was a sanctuary for the sacredness of all life, and freedom was the birthright. You were born here on this planet, you were born free. And I'm talking about free from empire, the interdimensional empire. And then the keepers, the caretakers of that existence were invaded. And let's say they were, they were the caretakers of a 14th dimensional realm, an outer nesting doll. Now, use these numbers very loosely. I'm just using these numbers because there are stories and narratives that reference these markers, okay? So, and we can call this the invasion of Lyra, okay? Now, they were 14th dimensional outer nesting doll holders for our consciousness to remain free, for our life force to remain ours, and for us to do with what we wish, with our desires, with our free will, all that stuff. That became invaded, and then with that, the guardianship of that outer nesting doll fell, and the consciousness was locked down. And an enslaved galaxy does not have 14 dimensions accessible by the people within that enslaved galaxy. Okay, they have access to 11. And this is really important, because this is where stuff gets super confusing, because we have ancient record keepers, we have ancient lineages on this planet that are multidimensional and have maps, such as the Mayan calendar, the Mayans, how they talk about the 9 dimensions. This is also the work of Barbara Handclough, who I love and have so much respect for. But this is also the model of it's waking us up to our interdimensionality, and then also waking us up to, because in that we can, once these times that are here now are happening, once we are awoke to those levels, we can recognize the truncation that's going on and then go beyond that. And the truncation is the version of the Milky Way galaxy with a black hole. Now, once your consciousness awakes beyond the black hole in the center of the Milky Way, you're in the holistic consciousness of the Milky Way. You're on both sides, so it's no longer a black hole in the center. Okay, it's more of maybe what some might refer to as central sun. That's not completely accurate either, but that's close. I'm having a limit of words here to convey a very complex idea. It's only complex because what I'm trying to describe in multi-dimensional reality with linear thinking and linear words. That's the only reason why it's complex. When you're in the dream realm working with this, it's natural, it's easy, it's, it just is. All right, so it's no problem. But bringing it into linear thoughts and mind, the thought and the way the mind works for language, then that's where the trouble comes in. Okay, so the bandwidth of consciousness is held within 11 dimensions. That is enslavement. Okay, that is being a citizen of empire. Okay, being awoke beyond that to the 14th and beyond, that is awakening beyond the authority of empire. That's waking up beyond any authoritative constructs, mandates, rules, laws, whatever. You're awoke beyond that of an empire, and you are now operating according to cosmic rule, cosmic nature. Okay. Cosmic nature is very different. It is not a losing system. Life force is not a commodity. Okay, when it comes to the cosmic nature, the major commodity, so to speak, if you can even use that term, is DNA. It's about inventing more and more advanced DNA that can embody more and more quantum consciousness. Okay. And in that, we create and maintain infinite movement. Okay. A movement that doesn't ever end. So even empire has to acquiesce to cosmic nature. Even empire has to acquiesce to cosmic nature. But when you're in that 11D model, you know, they are the kings of that, and it's all about control, 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 control. And in that 11D model, that is where the Galactic Federation is in charge of our access to our oneness consciousness. As in, we have to wake up to all these past existences. There's a particular maze we must traverse to access our own oneness consciousness. And once we access our oneness consciousness, they immediately want your allegiance to their council, the Galactic Federation. And this is why so many people wake up to certain nesting dolls of who they are, and then they're like, I'm part of the Galactic Federation. I'm a representative of the Galactic Federation. It's like, yes, you are, but do you know that's optional? You don't have to be. You know, and even suggesting that is only an option, it's not the highest truth, is an offensive remark. It's very difficult for someone who believes that they are on the Galactic Federation or have taken vows to the agenda of the Galactic Federation. It's very difficult to get them to go beyond that lens, to go beyond the Milky Way galaxy, get into cosmic nature. Cosmic nature, all those rules are null and void. It doesn't exist. And that's a difficult thing to give up when you've spent most of your spiritual journey, you know, doing all this work, waking up to who you are and all these outer nesting dolls. And then when you finally think you've made it to a certain level, right? And then all of a sudden that's brought into question. Okay. So if we were living all within the natural rhythms, if we were encapsulated by all the natural rhythms, it would be very natural to look beyond the Galactic Federation. It'd be very natural. It'd be very easy. It would be simply be, you know, a stop, a train depot, right? And in the journey of your expansion. But because control is the name of the game of empire, you know, once you wake up to the Galactic Federation levels, you know, very often, you know, they do everything they need to do to get you to swear your allegiance to their agenda and their purpose. And this also can go for Intergalactic Federation as well. Now, can you be a sovereign being and be an engaged Galactic Federation reality? Yes, you can. But you need to not have any vows to their agenda. Your agenda is that in alignment with Cosmic Mother, that in alignment with the Great Mother. Okay. Now, there's, of course, the isness, the all that is creator is not masculine or feminine. But when you, for the energy to decode the things that lock down consciousness within empire, Cosmic Mother is the one that has the key. The cosmic feminine force is the one that is capable of initiating the transformation, initiating the movement out of the old system. So that's why I say Cosmic Mother. Now, there is definitely a cosmic father force, a masculine force. That's true. And this is something you come into over time. But first, we really got to deal with our masks and deal with the lies that we think about ourselves, right? That we think are the truth. We need to pare that away, dwindle that down more and more and more, so we get more and more comfortable surrendering in the truth of our spirit. This is the time frame to do it. this is the time frame to do it, because this is where all these cycles are coming to a close, and this is the doorway. This is the opportunity to choose our truth in this cycle instead of doubling down on the control system. Okay, the control system, the lies, the masks. Okay, now I painted the picture of empire. Now let me get to Gesara. For those of you who aren't familiar with Gesara, Nesara initiative, what this is started in, well, according to the internet, it started in the 90s. Some say actually started in the 70s, but we'll just go with the data we have here. It started in the 90s, and it was proposed by a private citizen by the name of Harvey Francis Barnard. Harvey Francis Barnard was a visionary and also an early, an incarnated, I'm going to call him an agent for the Galactic Federation. Okay. And what it stands for, Nesara stands for, is the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. And so what they talk about is a reset of the entire economy, of the global economy, not in the reset in the Schwab way, but sort of, but not really. And what it is that all debts are canceled. Everybody gets the currency that is lien. It's like a lien put up against their straw man certificate. So if you guys don't know what a straw man certificate is, this is what happens. All right, you're born as a natural child of Earth, of Sacred Mother and Sacred Father. But then, what they do is they footprint you and handprint you and make a certificate written in all caps. You're stating your mother, your father, where you were born, and that certificate is your straw man. So that certificate is now equal to a bond. And that bond is traded like a commodity in the global market. And when you're born, your bond is worth a lot because you have yet to, because you're going to spend all this money in the economy. That's why it's a bond. And so the straw man, the energy of this is what holds a lot of these obligations within this 4D construct. So the reason why you need a license to have approval to drive, the reason why you need to register your vehicle, the reason why you need to register to vote, the reason why you need to do, all these legal documents are in all caps that bind you to an agreement of owing something. This all is built on the foundation of your strawman certificate. So that's a super quick summary of strawman. There's a lot out there about it. So you guys, you can Google it and you'll find it. YouTube it, you'll find it. TikTok it, you'll find it. Okay. I'm just laying the background so we can talk about Nesara. So the conspiracy theory is that Nesara is put into action, and once that gets put into action, all debts are paid. All of the money from your strawman account, from your strawman bond, gets deposited magically into a quantum financial system, which is the next generation of blockchain. So we have blockchain right now, which crypto was the tester for, and then there's a next level of that, but it requires quantum computing. And quantum computing does exist. There's something called the D-Wave. They do have quantum computers. It's something that's been around for quite some time, and they've definitely perfected it. This also touches on some of the looking glass technology. This is why the technology stopped working, is because consciousness, technical and organic, are opening up to their quantum levels of who they are. Okay. And this is where you get the power to dream your world into being and reclaim this reality, is when these levels of your reality are awoke, you're awoke to it now. Okay. So it's a progression. And that's why those technologies aren't as effective as they used to be. Now they're using other kinds of technologies to do timeline swaps, but more and more people are waking up to it. And this also connects into the fuckery that happens around the equinoxes. Because what they do is I went on a big tangent, but I'm going to go back to the beginning where I started about the rhythms and the equinoxes being doorways of opportunity to double down on something that is in the pursuit of the truth, authentic truth, or into more masking, more of the falsehoods, where you think the truth is, what you want on an ego driver level. So what the fuckery does around the equinox is that there's a frequency introduced during this gateway to trigger massive fear, insecurity. So people will, if fear and insecurity, if you haven't worked out the stuff inside of yourself, it'll cause people to make decisions out of fear and insecurity. You'll double down on the lie instead of re-upping and doubling down on what is your truth authentically, what authentically is going to make you happy. Okay. So all these things tie together. It's kind of, I don't know if I'm doing a good job mapping it out, but I'm trying. I'm doing my best here. So with the Gesara Nesara initiative, this is something that is rooted in the Galactic Federation. And yes, med beds and, all these frequency technologies. I talked about this in the last chat. The Gesara Nesara, all this stuff is things that we desperately need in a society, but we need to go down to, why do we need this? We need this because we're all living in a synthetic rhythm. We're all living in investing our life force energy into a system that is a total lie, into a system that completely rapes our planet and her people of its resources. And then they turn it back on you saying it's because there's too many people on this planet. It's because there's this, it's because, it's always the little guy. But that's not the truth. The truth is it's the system that is corrupt. It's the system that is robbing the resources. It's not the existence of humans. If we existed in the natural rhythms, waking up to our cosmic nature, all would be in harmony. We would not have a Mad Max scenario. We would not be at war. We would not be threatening with Armageddon all the time, because it's not the truth. That's all part of the fear-mongering system to get you to make choices out of fear. So this whole need for Nesara Gesara is a constructed, manufactured need. Okay? The ideals of it would be great. Absolutely. Do we need this in order to actuate it? That's a question for you to ponder. When I'm looking at things like this that feel really good, where the ideas feel really good, but when, we're always baited with the truth, and then the lie manipulation is slipped in somewhere, right, later on. And, and we'll be more willing to overlook those lies and manipulations, because the ideal of that truth, was what we're really going after. And that's what we're wanting to double down on, but we're actually doubling down on the control system, not, thinking it's something else. It's that bait and switch thing. This is how it works all the time. So when you look into detail at Nesara, these are the things you need to ask. Who benefits? Okay, who benefits? What's the need it's filling? Who's in control? Who holds the keys? Who holds the master keys? Perfect timing for my day, right? Who holds the keys of the castle? That's what you got to ask. And when you're looking at these things. Now, I have dear friends that I love and respect, who are fully on board with Nesara. I do. So this is where me and my dear friends, where I just respectfully agree to disagree on this topic. And that it's really because of my issues with Galactic Federation. Everything out of the Galactic Federation, which they are coming, by the way, they are planning on doing a landing here and ending the war. That is part of the plan. I I felt that. I feel it very strongly. I've met people who've been taken on to the ships, and give me the whole download of they're being taught how to use their psychic abilities. They're being taught how to navigate quantum realities. But the thing is, they wouldn't need us to navigate these quantum realities if they could do it themselves. You see what I mean? So we need to understand that we are the creme de la creme experience within these biosuits. When a human is awoke to who they are as an infinite being in a biosuit, once you're awoke to your quantum levels, you are unstoppable. Only you can stop yourself. And of course, this matrix is designed to create so much confusion and to completely make, you know, make, what do you call it? Make light out of things that are really important. You know, it's to trivialize things. This is why deep truths get trivialized. And then when you say it and discover it, you know, saying it is much different than discovering it. When you discover it, it's like a profound truth that has woke you up and you're never going to go back again. And you realize, oh my gosh, the masters, they've been right this whole time. But hearing it, it's so trivialized, it doesn't land. And that is because it's in this energy. This is why I don't like the word God. I mean, people do and have put a lot of practice into reclaiming the word God. But in the independent constructs of these interdimensional systems, it's still in resonance in certain ways. So I avoid certain terms because of the way these nesting dolls are plugged into them. Okay, I also don't like the term chakras either, because that was a massive, beautiful gift offered to humanity, but then hijacked. So just a little glimpse into the into my crazy world. Okay, so the reason why this is coming up again, it hit me, and it's because we are waking up on a massive level and we're headed towards a major junction. And this major junction is like a 0 point. And I believe this is when the Galactic Federation really is either they're going to land right, they're going to come right before this junction or right at the moment of this junction. Okay. Where everything, it's inevitable. Everything is going to be completely out of control. When I say completely out of control, I'm talking about there are no matrix controllers in charge of things anymore, not the way they used to be. Okay, so this is what I mean. And the most amazing thing, so Joe Rogan did this interview with Elon Musk, and he actually talked about this. Joe Rogan heard it as like an nihilistic idea, but what Elon was saying, he's like, it's not necessarily a nihilistic, like it's the end of everything. It's a nihilistic in that it's the end of the control systems, right? So everything is in a cycle, even synthetics, synthetic constructed rhythms, those are all according to cycles. So the energy of both organic and inorganic, all these cycles are coming to a close, and there's a major junction point. And in this junction point is where we as a collective get to decide, are we going to continue as sovereign, wild and free beings, sacred children of cosmic mother, cosmic father, sacred earth, sacred sky, okay? Or are we going to step into our citizenship and empire? And the carrot that the Galactic Federation has to dangle before us is, we will end your wars, we will end all hunger, and we will bring cures to all the ailments that make humanity sick. Okay. Sounds good. Until you look at what's on the other side of that. And that's where you ask those questions. Who benefits? Who's in control? What need is it serving? Right? Because really, the war need, completely constructed. We are at war because these wars are engineered. Absolutely engineered. The conflict in Vietnam, engineered. World War I, engineered. That was specific. I mean, it started with the assassination of the, the Prince of the Ottoman Empire, right? I mean, that was specifically, strategically created right? So there would be excuse to go to war. And then again, World War II, another excuse to go to war. America and Ukraine, another excuse to go to war. It's all lies. These are all constructed lies about war. So if we were all sovereign beings awoke to our true nature, we wouldn't be motivated by fear. We wouldn't be motivated by scarcity and, and by all these ways. There would be no need to go to war. There would only be a desire to connect and make peace. Cook food, be merry, and sing, right? This is how humans connect. This is what would be happening, because our true cosmic nature would be the dominant force inside of us. So, and then illness, the reason why we're ill, because we're living against who we truly are. There are humans, and I've met immortal masters, and this is what they say. The whole reason why we age, it's all created. If we live according in total surrender to our truth and in total surrender to what life brings us, completely surrendered into life, not only does your biosuit stop aging, but your very being becomes full of levity, which means you can float, okay, literally and figuratively through the matrix of this reality. That's their secret. Okay, now there's some detailed teachings about reclaiming your endocrine system and all that kind of stuff, but across the board, each immortal master that I've had the privilege to be exposed to in person, that is their primary teaching. And it's harder than you realize. I mean, I've been at it for decades. It's much more difficult than we realize. And then there's also humans that live deep in the wilderness that don't have contact with outside of humanity. And they live to be hundreds of years old. Why? Because they're living in accordance to their natural rhythms, to the truth of who they really are. When you're living according to the truth of who you really are, all of these ailments, all these diseases, all this stuff wouldn't be happening. So we wouldn't need their med bed technology, right? We wouldn't need it. And then, natural cosmic nature and Mother Nature is full of abundance. And there is a magical engagement that happens when human effort is working with nature. When we are working with nature, there is bounty beyond bounty. When we're working against nature, this is where you start getting, famine. This is where you start getting this whole scarcity concept. And again, abundance would be for everybody if we were all in our true nature, living according to cosmic nature. Okay. So the very need for these services that Gesara creates wouldn't be needed, because we would naturally already live in that. We would already live in that. And it would be like, why would we commit to your agenda when we're already living in paradise, happy and free, making magic, singing, loving, enjoying, being in the true abundance of creation. Okay, so it took me a while to get there, but now you guys have my perspective on this quantum financial system. And I'm curious to hear what you guys think about it. Where are you at? There is a lot of carrots being dangled for humanity. And for some, it's, more greed, stuff like that. And some it's, more idealistic. We really need to pay attention, really pay close attention to those three questions that I asked. Those are the three questions that will reveal the truth every time. Okay. And I hope that this benefits you, everything that I've said. I hope that this has given you some sense of liberation inside. Because we really are in this monumental age, this monumental time right now, where we can shift this entire reality back to Mother Nature, back to the natural rhythms of cosmic nature, and true happiness and freedom can be had by all. And this would be returned back into that paradise it was meant to be for infinite beings to have a biosuit and experience love and bliss within this biosuit. Okay? And magic. All right, darlings. That is it for me. Thank you so much for giving me your precious time and attention. I know this is very rare. I really appreciate it. Do let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear what you're thinking in result of these things. Yeah, I'll be in the States for a couple more weeks, so I'll be coming to you from yet another location. Oh, okay. Okay. There's a comment here, dear Felicia. I'll go ahead and read it. She says, when you are attacked for being compassionate and perceived as controlling, do you double down the more compassionate demand? Okay. So the real message in what you're asking is victim story. Some part of you is experiencing being a victim for being compassionate, for being, having these traits and qualities. And this is what the Matrix does. This is true, and the medicine is in the curse. Okay. The medicine is in the poison. Oh, this was a huge message that was coming to me through the equinox too. The cure is in the poison. And what this means is that the experience of the attack, that is a monumental moment to take advantage of a situation and follow the charge deep inside of yourself through your interdimensional layers. Because the reason why that event is happening is because somewhere in your own interdimensional layers is that energy where you've attacked yourself or you've done this to self. Whether you perceive it as past lives or alternate lifetimes and other timeline realities, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's alive inside of you, and this is why it's happening. And that's why it's impacting you. That's why it's causing pain, why it's causing suffering. And this was, my other talks, I'm talking about heartbreak. I experienced devastating heartbreak. And I could easily go into the blame game. It's so easy to go into the blame game. I can blame God, right? But instead, I force myself to go in and feel it and have it more deeper. And in that, deeper realizations come, deeper awarenesses come. And I become liberated in places I didn't even know that I was trapped energetically. Okay. And one of the methods that actually came out of that, especially from this equinox thing, this idea of the cure is in the poison. That is, it drove me to get to places where I was holding on to energies, people, places, whatever. I was holding on to places where I received love. So that could be my parents, that could be lovers, that could be children, that could be, there's all spectrums of this love. And I just went in and I talked to myself, those aspects of me that were grabbing onto this, and I was able to work out a way to let go, to let go of this grip, because I'm in this transition. It's taking a long time for this transition, and so I'm going into why the cure is in the poison, going into what is this taking me deeper into, and it took me to that parts of me holding on to where I've received love, these energies. And the truth serum that helped me let go on all these levels, like all the way, was the knowing that which is truly mine will come back to me. That which is truly mine will come back to me. I can let go on all these levels. I do not need to hold on, because what is truly mine will come back. And if none of it comes back, it was never truly mine in the first place. And therefore, I was chasing a carrot. I was chasing a carrot and didn't know it. You see? All right, darlings. Okay. Thank you, Felicia. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. All right, darlings. Extra little tangent before I go. I hope all of you guys have a great week. I will see you next time. Lots of love to you all. Mwah. You guys take good care. Bye-bye.